The first time that I came to the United States was September 27, 1989. I was 11 and that was the very first time I came to the United States. So on my last business trip, I made a decision that the Los Angeles is going to be my new home or my new scenario to start a new venture. I'm here at my uncle's house and I can't believe that he still has the same car. And I realized that me riding the bus early in the morning, 5 a.m. in the morning, in my morning job, and riding the bus on my way back like at 1 a.m. in the morning wasn't safe. So I said, you know what? I need to buy a car. I was 30 days here in Los Angeles, realizing that I need a car. And this one made it happen. Glad to see him because I sold it to my uncle, when I was able to buy my first BMW in 2008. A lot of people were saying, you're here 30 days, you're already buying your first car. As you know, here in Los Angeles, the car is a tool. It's not a luxury, it's a necessity. And this is the very first house that opened the doors to me. This is my uncle's house. And I remember, when we were at his porch and I told him if he will allow me to stay, to come here, from Ecuador to Los Angeles to stay at his house. This is the house, and I'm very grateful that he opened the doors to me because this is where everything started back in 2005. To mi tío, muchas gracias, tío, por toda la bondad de abrirme sus puertas, porque aquí es donde todo empezó. Y siempre le voy a tener en mi corazón por esa ayuda, porque sin eso yo no estuviera aquí. I asked my uncle, where is the area that I can go and find a job, and where is an area that there is like money or where there is people that English speaker, because I was like really desperate on learning the language as soon as possible. So he said, you can go to Beverly Hills, and that's exactly what I did. Here we are at Barnes & Noble. It was one of the multiple jobs that I had, but with the difference that on this job, I stayed around probably close to a year. And I was offered a management position here at Barnes & Noble for the library that we're opening at the Grove at the Americana, but that's when I decided to leave the industry. One interesting fact of working here at Barnes & Noble back in the day, it wasn't only about the fact I was receiving an income and earning an income, but it was the fact that I conditioned myself to read. And what I was reading was self-improvement books. I was living alone. I was going through this personal financial crisis where I was, trying to start from scratch in a foreign country, far from my homeland. But here's where I found books that technically saved my life. And, sometimes you can call it fate, you can call it destiny. I don't know, it was meant to be for me to work here. But me being here at the store after so many years telling this story, it makes me think like this store had a purpose. And the purpose was me reading self-improvement books that helped me go through to all the challenges that I was going through back in the day. And here we are at Nostrom's, and I want to tell you a funny story about working at this company back in 2006, I think it was. I was working here at the in-house cafe, and I remember I was working at Barnes& and Noble as well in the music department. And what happened was that it was a weekday. I was, working as my second, third job here, and the general manager of Barnes& and Noble comes to the cafe, and he's like, "What are you doing here?" And I told him, "I work here." I was like, "Really? How many jobs do you have?" And I said, "I have 3 jobs." And he said, "Hey, would you be interested in working at the cafe at Barnes& and Noble from the music department, first floor to the top floor, which was the cafe?" And I was like, "No way." And he started like, after that day, he started kind of like chasing me and say, "Hey, think about it." I said, "Look, this guy's paid $12.50. I don't think you can afford me." And that was a lie. I was getting $8 or something. And he said he made a proposal to me, and we ended up negotiating at 10.50 an hour, when the minimum wage at the time was like 8.50 or something. So I leveraged this job to get a better wage at my other job at Barnes and Noble. But when I was working at these 2 jobs, my third job was, the mortgage company, and that's when I ended up leaving both jobs to go full time in real estate. And here we are, where everything started for me in the mortgage industry and on the real estate industry. I remember the day that I had the job interview, the day that I received a phone call from this friend of my dad that was in Ecuador on vacation. They had the conversation that I was here, and he called me and said, "Hey, I'm a friend of your dad. He told me you're here. Let's meet up." I didn't know what to expect because, by the time I was kind of like somehow stable, doing retail jobs, multiple jobs, getting on the parking lot and getting the feel of, oh, so the job is here in an office. And this is where I met Edward Cañas. Luckily for me, I met with Edward, and Edward he asked me a question. He said, "Alex, how much money do you make with the jobs that you have?" And if I was making $2,000 a month, just to give you an idea, I said 4,000. And he said, "Okay, no problem. I'll match your salary. Come and work with me full time." So that's what I ended up doing. I quit my jobs and I started working as his assistant. And that's a decision that changed my life. I moved to this building. I found a 1-bedroom apartment on the second floor, and the reason why I chose Koreatown is because the office that they started, Diamond Funny Group, it was like 2 blocks down. So it just made sense for me to find a local apartment. And at the time, I started building my credit. I started, understanding, what's the structure in order to start like advancing. And this was the beginning of that. This apartment here in Koreatown, it was a walking distance to the office where I started. I found like, okay, things are, working out right now. I'm kind of like, it's paying off, all these efforts, all these decisions, all this hard work. So my job was to telemarket. It was to call people, call strangers, and offering mortgage services. So I realized that it's very hard for me to connect, to build rapport because of my accent, you name it. But one day, these guys, they say, "Hey, Alex, you're gonna go to the San Fernando Valley area. We're gonna come to the area, and we're gonna basically go door knocking." But I realized I like this more than making calls. So that was on a Saturday. So on Monday, I tell my boss, Edward, I said, "You know what, Edward? Let me door knock." And he was like, "Are you sure you want to door knock?" "Yes, I feel more comfortable talking to people. I feel more comfortable knocking on doors. Just let me go out there and I will find clients." And he was like, "Okay." So not a lot of people like door knocking. I said, well, I felt very comfortable. That's what I did, and that's when I found my first method of generating business.
And I had the pleasure of meeting Alex about 20 years ago. Um, he was a young man, and I was way younger. And I had the pleasure of starting with him in his career. I had the pleasure of being one of his teachers when he started the real estate career in my office. This was 2006. And since the first day that I met him, I knew he was a very disciplined person. He was very intelligent, and he reminded me of myself in the sense he was very motivated. He had a desire to succeed, and it's something that when I see people like that, I remember my teacher, my mentor, who was very open to teach me what he knew, and have good memories of those times.
Let me tell you a little story. One of my good friends that are in our industry asked me, called me and said, hey, one of my good friends need an estimate now. They're meeting with their sellers. And I said, I'm willing to help. We connected each other. We got what needed to be done, and he got the work done for his clients. That's who I am, a person that you could trust. As well, I learned from Alex that I could trust him, he could trust me, and we're a great team.
Again, the mortgage crisis was getting worse and worse and worse. And when you're running an office with so many agents, you know, I can understand, like, you know, that Edward decides to kind of close the office where everything started for me, and they merged with a Century 21 office in Commerce, and we went from Koreatown all the way to Commerce. So that was kind of like a bumpy transition for everybody that was involved with this office with Edward, because, you know, him as a business owner, you know, he had to manage the agents, now these new agents from the other office, and, you know, his new partner. So I kind of felt left out. And because of that, I decided to leave. I was driving with no plan, no direction, and I was asking myself, what am I going to do now that I'm just quit at the job that started, you know, everything for me on the mortgage business, in the real estate industry. So I came in, and I, you know, asked for the owner, and his name is Alex Felix. Alex wasn't in the building, and his brother says, my brother is coming, just wait. I came in, talked to Alex, and one question he asked me is, are you licensed? And because I was working at the other office, they didn't really enforce us to get a real estate license. But here, he said, okay, I'm gonna give you the job. You have 90 days to get your real estate license. I remember him telling me, don't let me down, because he hired me without the license, you know? So, and then that's where the real estate started for me, here at this building. Where my office, when I was assigned an office, so let me show you. This was my office. This is where I shared the office with Luis Sicairos. And one of the things that I was seeing here always, it was the Maxim Properties logo or list. It was not even a website, it was like an Excel sheet of properties. What is that? You know, what is Maxim Properties? And then to later found out that it's a company that allow third-party agents to do open houses.
My name is Guillermo Hernandez. I've known Alex since the year 2011. He was actually my real estate agent. He was able to help us and find our homes. And he's a very, very professional man, an agent, a friend now.
I would define Alex the first time I met him, and even now, a professional and a man with a mission. Yep, a very professional and a man with a mission, and I like that about him. And that drive got me a little closer to him, and to this day, I still have a great relationship with him because of his work ethic.
I just moved to California a couple of years ago, and I just met Alex through music, through musicians, friends in common that we have. And now we are celebrating 20 years, not only of real estate, but music, fun, and celebrating the life. So I feel honored to be his friend and start working with him in music. And now we are celebrating all these 20 years.
I was so hungry, so desperate, so in need of making it in real estate that I was like, I need to get this license. I need to pass this license. I need to pass the test. And I took the test on December 2020 or something, before Christmas. The other day I was going over my documents, and guess what? I found, I think it was the application or the test that I passed. So I got my license in early 2009, but I took the test in December. So here I was a licensed real estate agent in the United States.
He found me on a website for first-time home buyers, and we have been partners ever since. He is, and his daughter Carolina, wonderful, wonderful people. They are dedicated to their clients. They family first, client first, and Alex, I wish you the best.
And I realized that here at the open house, instead of going or knocking on doors to find someone that's or looking to buy or sell or refinance, people were coming. Out of 10 people, 8 were like interested in buying, interested in selling, or whatever the case. So I said, so this is what the open house is all about. People come to the house, no different from someone who wants to buy a car. Where do they go? They go to a car dealer. If someone wants to have a drink, where do they go? They go to a bar. So someone who wants to buy a house or sell a house, where do they go? They go to an open house. So, boom, there was this, like huge realization that this is the method that I'm gonna be using moving forward.
Breaking the law, 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 breaking the law.
I remember my open house, my first open house with those 50 signs. And one of my very first clients, Brenda Barrios in Silmar, we met her at that open house. So once I found this method, things started getting easier for me because it was putting me in front of people, in front of home buyers, in front of home sellers. Why? By putting 50 signs for my open houses that I was doing religiously. At this office, open house was their bread and butter. It was like the main thing that every single agent at that office were doing, and I'm thankful and grateful that I was at that office because that's where I learned the power of an open house.
We're here today to celebrate Alex Lopez in his 20 years in Los Angeles. What accomplishment. Look at this event, so beautiful. And I love Alex because he's this passionate guy, he's so loyal, and just a beautiful, beautiful person inside and out, along with his team and his daughter, Carolina. I'm just very grateful to be part of his team. And I've been working in the real estate industry for over 20 years, so I'm just very grateful to be the part of his team.
Everybody wanted to learn luxury real estate, so they did this seminar, to get a luxury certification. And because of these guys were providing that certification at their office, people from different offices came to the class. And one of them was Dave Knight, who's an agent with Keller Williams. So I met Dave Knight, who was a top agent in the Pasadena area. And I remember, I was at the class and he was there, everybody asking questions. He was asking questions, I was asking questions. And when the class ended, he came to my office and he asked me, my name and said, how you doing? We had this conversation and I decided to join Keller Williams. So when I decided to join Keller Williams, I kind of give the heads up to the office, my previous office, and I tell them that I'm leaving, thank you very much. We say the goodbyes. And I joined Keller Williams, starting a new chapter in my last chapter of me being an agent under a broker. I'm moving my license to this great office with top agents that they were, building teams, and that was my goal. And this happened. This company had 2 commissions pending, under my license, and they needed to pay me the commission. But because I moved, they decided not to. They decided to, we're only going to pay you 50%, when my split was 90, I think, at the time. And they just didn't want to pay me because it was a retaliation of me moving to the Keller Williams office. And that's what I ended up doing. I decided not to fight them. I decided not to go after them. I decided to put them behind them. And that month, 45 days later, I opened 15 escrows with Keller Williams. I don't remember how I did it, but I did it. Carolina was 6 years old when this whole moving to Los Angeles happened. And I remember the day that I said goodbye to her. I don't know if she knew exactly what was going on. I remember, I got on my knees, she gave me a hug, and I hugged her, and I knew that I wasn't coming back, and she was, I don't know if we cried or not, but I don't think she knew exactly what was going on. But since that day, the minute I got in the plane, the minute I got into Los Angeles, my daughter always was in my heart, it was always one of my thoughts.
And, working with my dad in the industry is something that I always wanted to do. When we first came out here, my dad had started being in the real estate industry, and I would go to open houses with him every weekend, and I would help him put up the Remax balloon and help him with the signs. And I always told him that I wanted to do this when I grew up, and he would always tell me, oh, you just want to do this because I'm doing it, and I don't want you to do it because I'm doing it. I want you to do something that you're passionate about. So seeing him in that element really motivated me and made me see what I would want to do in the future. And throughout the process, he's guided me, he's helped me, and he's really helped me become the best version of myself that I can be.
Carolina was already working with me as a real estate assistant, as a TC over the years. When she was little, she was like, I want to become a real estate agent, because her job, I always took her to my open houses on the weekend, on holidays, whatever vacation time she had. And she was like, I want to become a real estate agent. And I was like, we will have that conversation later on when you graduate in high school. It was funny because she was chasing her real estate license and I was chasing my broker's license. But we both got our licenses or passed the test the same week. And that week, I had this clients appreciation event. So it was everything combined. And guess what? It was September 19th. So great things happened in September. And that's the reason why I decided to celebrate my 20 years in Los Angeles, because it's September. I came in September 27 in 1989. I came in September 25th in 2005. And here we are telling the story at 20 years later. Difficult situation that I ever experienced came, which was me divorcing the mother of my children, my first wife. And I mentioned this because it happened. It happened, and it kind of shook my existence at the time. It was something that just happened, and exactly at the time when my business was kind of like coming to fruition, for all the years that I wanted to build something. So that's what a club is all about. When you're in a club, a country club, a music club, cigar club, you need to kind of create this brotherhood around, to be part of the club. And that's why I decided to I want to call it the real estate club. And it's a club. It's still a club. I had people that I hired over the years, and we had good runs, and there's people come and go. But I'm still here, I'm still independent.
Conozco a Jacobo desde los 4 años, aproximadamente 4 o 5 años. Nos conocimos en Ambato, éramos amigos de barrio, vecinos. Jugábamos entre aproximadamente unos 10 niños de la misma edad. Con él hacíamos camaradería para las travesuras. Considero que es un hombre de trabajo. Es la primera característica que se me viene a la mente, porque desde esa edad me acuerdo haberle visto ayudando a su papá. Su papá tenía negocio, era comerciante. Y Alex, él trabajaba las tardes y me parece que también los fines de semana con su papá. Creo que aprendió del negocio bien temprano. Y me parece que eso es relevante porque creo que es lo que le tiene aquí en Los Ángeles desde hace 20 años y con una prosperidad en lo que hace. Es una persona que ha empezado desde abajo aquí en Los Ángeles y ahora está en muy buena posición. También puedo decir que ha sido buen amigo, tiene defectos y virtudes como todos. Los defectos es que es súper cascarrabia. Pero eso no le quita lo buena persona, es un tipazo.
Soy un macarra, soy mortera, mueve toda hostia por la carretera. Soy un macarra, soy mortera, mueve toda hostia por la carretera.
Oh yeah, my relationship with my second wife came to the end, and a year ago, I couldn't understand why, but there's things that you need to go far to see it close. And sometimes you don't understand why things happen, but there's always a purpose for everything. And there's people in your life that comes and serve a purpose. And I think that's what I did, with her, and she did with me. It was a purpose, and I think we fulfill our purposes, and I decided it was time to move on.
This year, it's been the most challenging year of my life. But at the same time, it's been the most rewarding year, because I kind of found myself again. I found that Alex Lopez that landed in LAX in 2005. The guy that was like, holy shit, what am I going to do here? But one thing I told to myself was, you know what? I know how to play. This is just a bigger stage. And I've been playing. I've been playing 20 years here in this beautiful land that's called California, called Los Angeles, and now Sierra Madre.
to say I'm very proud of you for everything that you've been able to build in this country, and thank you for the guidance and the love that you've given me as a father.
Y sigue contando conmigo para la música, para las travesuras y para la amistad.
I wish him like to keep going, be happy, and be the better person all the time.
Wish you the best and best of luck, health, business, and then we're a team. Continue to be one.
He just keeps on succeeding and doing the best that he can.
There's two people who don't envy somebody doing better than them. And that's a father who enjoys seeing a child do better, and a teacher who sees a student outdo or outgrow him. So after 20 years, I wish him the best.
And congratulations for all your success. See you soon.
And I hope for 20 years more of good business and good friends.
And I'm sure that he has more to offer in the future. So Alex, hugs for you and blessings for you too.
And you know, to me over the years, I've always been grateful for all the people that came, you know, through my life, my mentors, my colleagues, but especially my clients, because my clients had played an important role in my real estate career, and you know, but there's also that gratitude to them also goes both ways, because you know, I'm always being very careful with my business dealings. I always been very careful of always being ethical, being honest, being clear, even the right expectations, never over-promising things that I'm not going to be able to deliver. 20 years later, there's more space in my life for music, for business, for my mental health, for growth, and to tell my story. 20 years later, my story, our celebration.
Completely wasted, out of work and down. Oh, inside they're so frustrated, sent from town to town. Feelings though nobody cares if I leave or die. So I might as well begin to put some action in my life. Breaking the law, 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 breaking the law. Breaking the law, breaking the law. So much for the golden future, I can even start. I'd have every promise spoken.